behind it there, it's hard to tell. What you would be looking for would be down near the ground, a little debris cloud kicking up. But with the rain in behind there, it's hard to get a clear gradient of what. Whoa, look at that one now. Nice little funnel cloud.
There we go.
On this
I think
one.
We've got something now, Dr. Forbes. We're very close. I think we're probably, it's hard to tell because of our vantage point here. We're several miles away. This entire storm is moving towards us. We've obviously got a funnel right now, the most impressive funnel of the supercell so far. It looks like a little rope thing. Then we go again. It teases. It wants to come down, and then it lifts right back up. As you were talking, it can be a process.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I believe you had a brief tornado occur right there. As you say, there was a little, very narrow little rope tornado that came down very briefly. It certainly looked to me like that had rotation, had a little bit of dust that got picked up at the ground.
Dr. Forbes, I want to give everyone kind of at home a vantage point of what we're looking at. We've been following this on the radar, and I want to show you here. This is the storm that we're following right here in Goshen County, and where you see the little truck and the spirals here, that's our exact location. So we think we've put ourselves in a position where the storm is coming towards us, but if it's any more of a right turner and goes south, it may end up being farther south of us, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it does certainly seem as if it may be taking a little bit of a right turn. It's going to get very close to you. It's amazing how fast these evolve, because even in that minute, you see the rain shafts have lessened a little bit. We still continue to have that little bump that's coming down. And so now with those rain and hail shafts lessening a little bit, I wonder if a tornado will be able to pop down sort of in this weaker precipitation area. It's certainly trying.
Dr. Forbes, if I look off to the left of where we've been watching the funnel, what exactly is taking place here south side of the funnel over here? It just looks like debris clouds or something to me.
I think that's a flanking line. I think what's happened, Mike, is that rear flank downdraft has, in behind the main wall cloud, has pushed southbound about this far. And so what we're getting is some of the warm air being lifted up. In other words, the rain-cooled air comes in across here, and some of that warm air is being lifted up over top of that. So that's the southernmost extreme of the rear flank downdraft, and then it's spiraling forward a little bit off to the right and trying to re-enter the wall cloud. And that process of recirculation of that rear flank downdraft is a key theory to Vortex 2 of how the tornado forms in what's obviously already a storm that's rotating aloft, but how does it get that rotation right at the ground? How does it make a tornado? And that's what the atmosphere is trying to show us right now, right in front of our very eyes. This, though, appears to be a little bit of what we call an HP supercell, a high precipitation supercell. We do not like to see that much rain right by the wall cloud. We'd sooner have it ending right here instead of right immediately in proximity to the wall cloud.
Dr. Forbes, when I look at the area that we've been looking for the funnel, if I look just to the right, this looks to be the nearest part of the storm to me. There's obvious spin here. There's obvious cyclonic rotation. Is there a possibility that ahead of that storm we could see another funnel? Is this not an area that we would watch for a tornado to form?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. As this rear flank downdraft pushes forward, it puts out a little gust front, and there can sometimes be little brief tornadoes, sort of shaped like narrow water spots, like elephant trunk shapes.
Well, there we go, Dr. Forbes. There we go. I think we've got the tornado
there it is.
now.
There's a tornado.
I think this is touching the ground now.
You have it. There it is. It's on.
There we go. We've got a
all
tornado.
the way to the ground.
This is Goshen County, Wyoming. There it is.
Vortex 2 has a tornado.
This is the first tornado that we have seen so far, folks, with Vortex 2. We've waited nearly a month. That is getting bigger now. That's it. Initially started as a rope tornado right in that wall cloud, has now developed what looks to be a fairly significant tornado on the ground from our vantage point. We're still several miles away from this storm as it pushes southeast through southeastern Wyoming. Right-turning storm that started out as a cluster, but right now what you're witnessing is a live tornado in Goshen County, Wyoming, as it heads south and eastbound. Dr. Forbes, when you look at what's happening right now, how difficult is it to determine how much precipitation we've got in the cone here, how much debris we've got? Because when I look at the topography here, when I look at the landscape, mostly farmland here, which is a very good thing.
Yes, absolutely. I don't see much that looks like debris. I think it's moist air and some dust. But obviously what you have, Mike, is pretty much a wedge tornado that is in progress there. It grew wide, much wider, just in seconds as we watched it. A good example of just how quickly tornado can change.
And amazing, Dr. Forbes, as we were talking, because it looks like each time it gets more intense as each funnel wants to come down. It looks again like it may have lifted just a little bit again, but I'm wondering if now we're going through a process where it's really starting to mature now, and at some point we're going to get a fairly significant tornado that lasts for a while on the ground.
Yeah, well, at this point, that funnel is so close to the ground, Mike, that I suspect that what is happening is that it has tornadic winds on the ground, but it may be moving over meadows with no dust and no debris to pick up. And so there now, obviously, it is back to the ground. So I believe you have a fairly wide tornado wind field on the ground at this time.
Dr. Forbes, some of the radars that want to sample this tornado, the W-band, especially the Ka-band radars, they want to scan very close to the ground. What is the advantage of scanning so close to the ground and not higher up through this tornado?
Well, some of the other radars will be scanning higher up. The critical areas, of course, where people get damaged, where buildings get damaged, are right down in those lowest 10, 20 feet above ground. And so that's a very critical area in the tornado. The flow comes in and then turns very rapidly upward. It's called a corner flow area, and that's where all the damage takes place, the winds turning from horizontal to vertical. Obviously, we have a tornado on the ground here now, beginning to perhaps pick up a little bit of debris there at that little protrusion came out the right side.
Dr. Forbes, what I've noticed, though, over the last, we've been on this for about 25 minutes or a half hour or so, I haven't noticed a significant advancement towards us with the tornado. I feel like we're at a very safe distance here, and has it slowed down at all?
I can't really answer that question. I've not been able to, I've been perched here at my telestra without able to really look at the radar, so it certainly was not moving too fast to begin with.
You were mentioning, though, that the forward speed was relatively slow, though. It was around 15 miles per hour. Once you start to see a funnel form, can a supercell itself almost remain stationary?
Yeah, certainly they can sometimes close themselves off, and perhaps even the tornado remains stationary, and then a new one leapfrog out ahead of it. So we're seeing a pretty well-defined little band of clouds here coming out now that may be a little bit of rain-cooled air that has pushed around the front side of that tornado and up to its north side and then wrapping in behind. Sometimes you can get another tornado, probably not this instant, but next 15 minutes or so, that will drop down in the updraft that gets triggered along that edge of the gust front that is wrapping around it. But this is a classic mature stage tornado right now with here, the clear skies, that's rain-cooled air wrapping around. It has provided the rotation for the updraft of this wedge-shaped tornado that is working its way across southeast Nebraska.
To review for everyone that's watching at home right now, we are in Goshen County, Wyoming, live with Vortex 2 as they have deployed on a supercell thunderstorm that's producing a tornado right now in open farmland in Goshen County, Wyoming. This is an ideal classic case that Vortex 2 has been looking for. They've deployed all of their radars, their probes, the stick nets, the meso nets are mobile, and they crisscross throughout this storm. It's a slow-moving classic storm that they're looking for because that was ideal for them. Low precipitation, especially on the south side, although we're now noticing a lot more in the way of rain, but the deployment should actually be perfect for them, certainly considering the topography that we're looking at here. Relatively flat and a visual that is miles. The radar signature is almost classic on this one. And Dr. Forbes, one of the teams that we haven't talked a lot about on Vortex 2 is photogrammetry. When they are looking at this storm, what are they looking for when they're visually inspecting this?
Well, what they will do is they'll photograph the storm from a couple of different locations and then be able to go back from the videos of that and track little elements of the motion, either of debris that they can see or the cloud, the funnel cloud itself, and they'll be able to triangulate and they'll know how far away the tornado is and can actually compute independently of the radar the speed of rotation about the outer edges, both the rotation and the upward motion in the outer edges of this tornado, which now is potentially getting what we call rain wrapped. It seems to be perhaps getting more and more enshrouded in curtains of rain.
Dr. Forbes, as we look at this storm, and now I can see as the outer bands of the supercell itself start to rotate, spiraling around us here, because I can now tell it's getting a lot closer to us. When I look at this storm and watch its movement toward us right now, it is getting closer.